Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you. I'm going to open the public hearing. Please take notice that the Select Board of the Town of Upton, Massachusetts, acting as issuing authority for cable television licenses under Mass General Law, Chapter 166A, will hold a public hearing on August 18th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. The public hearing will be held at the Upton Town Hall, room 203, 1 Main Street, Upton, Mass. The purpose of this hearing is to determine whether to issue a cable television license to Comcast and Charter. All applications, report statements, and draft licenses to be considered at the hearing that constitute public records under state law are available for public inspection during regular business hours and for reproduction at a reasonable fee. Members of the public are invited to attend and be heard on the topic. A, whether the current cable operator is in full compliance with its currently existing cable license, and B, what are the town's future community cable related needs? Okay, so with that, we have the public hearing open, and I can turn it over to you to cover, Christy. Okay.
All right, thank you. I believe we have a representative from Comcast here attending remotely. If you would please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Steve Fitzgibbons from Comcast, and there's my camera.
Thank you so much. I also wanted to recognize Miranda Cecil from KP Law, who is here to answer questions that the board may have. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Happy to be here and happy to answer any questions that might come up.
Great. So as was mentioned in the hearing notice, the purpose of this hearing is to give the public a say in determining the town's future community cable related needs. It is required by federal law as part of the licensure process. And just for the audience to know, the hearing will only discuss cable television, not internet. That's just an important distinction to make. So the town is primarily served by Charter, with a small portion of the town served by Comcast. Those are the residents that are located primarily over on Crockett Road. We have found both cable operators to be in compliance with their current licenses and have received no complaints in at least the past 6 months. So in terms of the current service provision that we do have 3 local cable access channels, channel 191, which does fire and EMS notices, channel 192, which is general community programming, and 194, which is educational and school activities. We currently have 1 videographer/editor who films important town events, including the fire pinning ceremony that we just had downstairs, as well as town meetings, board and committee meetings, and any special events that are held in the community. The recorded events and meetings are also shared online via UCTV, which is the Upton Community Television YouTube channel. In terms of funding, the town has a special revenue fund for the revenue that we receive annually through these cable licenses from both Charter as well as from Comcast. And we look to where our future needs are in terms of equipment. Our cable film and videographer just held a meeting with Spectrum on August 11th. And apparently our equipment is vintage and needs to be replaced. So this is some of the things that this funding goes to assist with, and we'll be working with them to replace the necessary equipment. There's also another interesting upcoming ADA compliance matter that has to do with PDFs that are used in video that goes into effect in 2027. So we're working with Castus, who helps us with our software programs to learn about the requirements and assist us with implementing them. And we're meeting with them on August 31st. So trying to be proactive as well for the making sure we're in compliance with all state and federal laws. So just a quick update on Charter. We did receive a draft agreement today, and I'll be setting up a meeting to discuss the proposals and revisions. And we have received the final license from Comcast. the board is being asked to vote on this evening. I just wanted to add that KP Law considers the negotiated license to be legally acceptable for adoption by the select board. And the license is substantially similar to most other Comcast renewal licenses that have been done in the past year, with the exception of what's known as PEG funding, which is the public, educational, and government funding. That's why they say PEG, it's a little easier. And that does differ from town to town. So the proposed term of our license is 10 years, which is the maximum term available for a renewal license under state law. And Comcast has agreed to continue to make an annual grant of 1% of its gross annual revenues, what's known as the GAR, without capital, which is consistent with the existing license, given the small subscriber count that we have for Comcast. So with that, I will turn it back to the chair to open it up to the public.
So just a clarifying question. So it sounds like we'll vote on the Comcast, to accept the Comcast one, and then continue the charter one. Is that the plan? Okay. And then Laura, Maureen, do either of you have any questions for anybody?
No, sorry, don't.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the public or on the phone? Okay, so I will take two motions, so one at a time.
Okay. I make a motion that we vote on the Comcast license.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Union, motion carries by unanimous action.
My second motion would be I vote to renew the charter cable.
Continue that hearing.
Continue that, yes.
I'll second. Okay, I was going to just clarify
Yeah.
the hearing itself,
Yeah.
we're doing actually both together. So we'll look at a separate vote down the line to vote on the charter license as well. So you can actually close the public hearing if you,
Well, don't we want to continue the hearing for charter?
you can, but folks can talk about any cable general concerns they have here. So it's entirely up to the board.
So we could close the hearing and just close the public hearing and then still vote on it later.
That's my understanding. I would ask, I believe we have Miranda here. Would you be able to weigh in on that for us?
Yep. So you can vote to close the public hearing tonight and then vote on whether or not to approve the charter cable license in the future.
Okay.
The significance of the public hearing is to offer an opportunity to comment on any cable matters. It's not about comment on individual licenses specifically, but you're also able to continue the public hearing if that's your preference and vote on that charter license in a couple of weeks once we've completed review of that.
Yeah, I think that's fine. We can just do the public hearing here and then had people or had feedback or whatever, that would be one thing, but it doesn't seem like it's covered. So, okay, so we'll close the hearing. I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
I move that we close the public hearing.
My second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action. The public hearing is closed and we're in good shape. Thank you very much. Okay, next up on the agenda is
Good
town and, oh, sorry, yeah,
Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Good night.
yeah, have a good night.
Thank you.
You too.
The town manager report, please.
So we have the state primary election coming up on Tuesday, September 1st at Nipmuc High School. In-person early voting begins Saturday, August 22nd and continues Monday, August 24th through Friday, August 28th during normal town hall hours. And to date, the town clerk reports that over 950 ballots have been mailed to voters who have requested them. So if you need more information on the elections, ballots, or early voting, please contact the town clerk's office. In terms of personnel updates, Assistant Town Clerk Kathleen Byrne will serve as the part-time department specialist for DPW, taking on additional 20 hours a week. We are in the transition, if you recall. Bill Taylor has resigned, but he is staying on a few extra hours for right now to help out during the transition, and we will be looking to fill that position as well. We've also posted a per diem animal control officer position to provide backup coverage for when the ACO is away. I did try to reach out to a number of other local communities. It is a very difficult position to fill, and they weren't really able or willing to share. So we are going out to see if we can attract anyone on a per diem basis. Grafton Building Inspector Kevin Flanagan is filling in as our local inspector to conduct inspections. As you know, John Atchu agreed to stay on as part-time building commissioner, so we are thankful to Kevin for helping out during the transition. And we have interviews for the new full-time firefighter paramedic position that was approved at Maytown meeting underway. Finally, we also have the draft memorandum of understanding between the library trustees and the select board, outlining how the town and library and select board interact via the town manager, particularly in regards to personnel. There's been an initial reading by the library board of trustees. They are on board. So the select board will review and discuss that agreement at the September 15th meeting. Fire and EMS had 82 calls for service during July, including 22 fire-related calls and 62 ambulance calls. They have been also working with the Hopkinton Fire Department to secure access at the Crockett Road Dam, which is a rural water supply resource, and those improvements are expected to be completed this week. Recruitment, as Chief noted, remains an ongoing challenge for both full-time and call departments, but the department continues to work on identifying and recruiting qualified candidates to support current and future staffing needs. Chris Karen has hit the ground running as the town's first systems administrator, has a number of projects already underway, so we're very thankful to have him. Those include a police and fire phone system upgrade, town drive migration to SharePoint, a laptop and computer update, Permit Pro replacement for our online permitting software, a forthcoming town hall phone system upgrade, and he's also taking over the budget management and processing of invoices and working on contracts with our contractors. So it's been immensely helpful. I've heard nothing but good things, and especially public safety has had a number of backlogged projects that they're very happy to be able to have the additional staffing to be able to work on. So we thank Chris for that. Board of Health continues to focus on taking a broader view of public health beyond just inspectional services, including providing more education for license holders in the community and improving stakeholder education and engagement. Flu clinics will be held this fall at the community center. And just so folks are aware, if you don't already know, blood pressure clinics are held every other Wednesday at 11 a.m. over at the community center, and more information can be found at the center or on the Board of Health's website. In terms of the library, we had 76 people attend the summer reading finale with free ice cream from JJ's Ice Cream and Friends of the Upton Library. And July hit a new record for the number of items circulated. So 6,539 items during the month of July. And much of that increase is driven by ebooks and e-audio using the Libby and Hoopla applications. Also, the trustees and the library director are working on updating all of their policies. There are a couple that pertain to First Amendment rights that about 3 or 4 will have town council take a look at just to confirm that they're in compliance. But the rest are specific to how operations at the library occur. The treasurer collector and assistant attended their annual school for treasurer collectors. Water and sewer bills were mailed August 5th and they're due September 4th. And the first quarter real estate and personal property bills for FY27 were due August 3rd. Second quarter bills will be due November 2nd. In terms of recreation, it's the last week of Kids at Play, and the beach will be open on weekends only from August 22nd to the 30th with possible Labor Day access. They're working on trying to see if they can have people that can oversee the beach during those times. So stay tuned for more information. Elder and Social Services held a very popular and successful senior barbecue and ice cream truck, had 85 attendees plus volunteers. So we thank Fuse and Upton Fire and EMS for their support. And I might have been spotted doing the electric slide. EMS Planning Department and the MWRTA are going to hold a rider info session to discuss possibly adding dial-a-ride service to town. For those of you who are aware, we pay into the MBTA, but we don't get service from the MBTA at about $60,000 a year. So we're trying to see if we can actually work with the MWRTA to bring some service in town, actually put those dollars to use, which would be fantastic. Also, September is Hunger Action Month. The ESS and the Community Center Food Pantry will host a Nourish Your Neighbor Tree, where residents can take tags listing food pantry items to donate, and ESS is working to partner with Unibank on the food drive as well. Sorry, this is a big one.
Good stuff.
It's a lot. The assessor is working on new growth reporting and the cyclical inspections. There are approximately 750 parcels that need to be looked at this year. So it's been a lot going on for the assessor, and those inspections are conducted annually from July 1st to August 30th. So many inspections in a tight time frame. They're also in the process of working on exemption applications, and those were mailed out to eligible tax applicants on July 1. And they're preparing the chapter land applications to be mailed out to all participants September 1st and due December 1st. Just for curiosity, there are 65 participants in the chapter land program in town. Community Preservation Act. I looked at a financial summary at the request of the board for where we're at in terms of CPA funding. So basically, we get about $1 million in revenue annually, and I'm just giving estimated round numbers for you. Annual expenses, including all committed projects, total about $9,655 at this time, but also including the field renovation, which is committed but not yet bonded, as well as the town hall roof, which is also committed but not yet bonded. So that leaves your undesignated fund balance at around $35,000 available for new commitments beyond those individual reserve accounts for historic open space and recreation. So I did also share that information. I want to thank Kenny and Dennis for helping pull all of that together, and we got that off to CPA as well. We held a kickoff meeting for the capital plan being prepared by the Collins Center on July 28th, and we had a department head meeting on August 12th to go over the forms that need to be submitted for all of the projects. We also met with Mass DOT regarding the 140 water sewer and project, and we are pushing that along to its hopeful very soon conclusion. And finally, residents will be receiving postcards regarding the new electricity aggregation provider. There is nothing that folks who are currently enrolled in the program need to do, but your bills will change, and from saying bills will change to say First Point, as they are now the new energy supplier. And if anyone has questions about the program, we're going to have information up on our website, and those postcards will be mailed out at the end of this month. And last thing, I continue to research senior tax relief, and we've had a number of conversations at tea with the town manager about it. I did look into Concord, Southborough, and Hopkinton, and they each have their own sort of reasons where it may work, may not work. For Hopkinton, it had to do with school building debt that was excluded. Concord has a tax relief fund where residents can donate on their tax bills to help folks, but they only get about 8 applications a year for that funding. So it hasn't been overly successful. It's income qualification, a lot of paperwork from what I understand that folks aren't willing to fill out. And Concord does a residential exemption, which is one of the options that you can select at the tax classification hearing. But I don't see a magic bullet, unfortunately, at this time beyond what is currently available. I do plan to reach out to our state legislatures because I've gotten some interesting ideas from folks as we've had these conversations, and just to at least provide them with some feedback and to see if any of the thoughts that our very smart residents have come up with would potentially be viable. The problem is, even if we do special legislation, it can't be in conflict with current Mass General law. And it's very clearly defined how taxation and municipal finance works. But I think that our legislators should hear that feedback as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Any questions? Comments?
Appreciate it.
It's great. A lot of great stuff. Next on the agenda, we have public comment. So is anyone here for public comment? Oh, please. Just your name and thank you.
Street. I would like to demonstrate with real numbers how a 5 o'clock start time for the September 3rd town meeting effectively disenfranchises over 90% of Upton voters, and try to convince the board that a more representative sample of town voters is more fair and the right way to proceed. According to 495 Metro West Partnership in 2024, just shy of 4,000 adult voters commute out of town to Upton to work every day. Now that it's likely over 4,000 or 75% of the voting population is working or on their way home. Another 744 households have children 13 years or younger who cannot stay alone while their single parent votes or their partner parent gets home from work if they're among the 75% of voting adults in Upton. It's likely that over 90% of Upton voters are disenfranchised by the time of the meeting during the workday or commute home at 5 o'clock, or those who have young children. The reason given was for town employees to end their day sooner, but they have all expressed too that they prefer 7 o'clock, as has been the case for every town meeting in Upton for all time. At a previous meeting, the reason you gave for not having the earlier month for the town meeting was because you wanted people to be back from summer in order to have a broad cross-section of the voting community. Summer ends on Labor Day, which is September 7th. Instead, you have a tiny fraction that can vote on this history-making topic. Why have you changed your mind about representation? As town officials, aren't we sworn to represent the voters who elect us? 300 people signed a petition saying they want a chance to vote on accepting CPC money to seal the envelope of the church, and this was after 6 townwide votes in the last 9 years, some by 2/3 majority and some unanimous in favor of articles to keep the church. We know you have the power to keep this time, which takes away most of the townspeople voices, but sometimes we recognize what is right, fair, and ethical and make a different choice. I please respectfully ask that you take action to return the September 3rd town meeting to 7 o'clock, or try to explain to us truthfully why you want it at 5 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's against open meeting law to comment on comments.
Okay.
Any other comments? Questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have appointments and resignations. We have several of these, so do we want to, how do you want to do this? Do we want to go through one by one and just sort of have the people if they're here?
So for the reappointments, I don't expect necessarily that we would have folks here, but I can certainly, there's 3 of them. And if anyone is here and wants to come forward, we could do that. And then the other ones, we do have some new appointments.
Yeah, okay. Is anyone here that's being reappointed? Okay, so then I'll just take a motion on the 2027 reappointments. Please.
As we have in the packet. Yeah, so
Okay. I move that the select board approve the 2027 annual reappointments as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries by unanimous action. Thank you. All right, and next we have the appointment to the Upton Housing Authority.
So this would be a vote to appoint Margaret Pullman and Sylvia Stewart to
Yeah.
the Upton Housing Authority for a term through the May 2027.
Yeah.
election.
And I think Margaret or Sylvia? Yes,
So-
please. Hi, want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Sylvia Stewart. I'm a senior research associate at the Heller School for Social Policy and Management at Brandeis University. I've lived in Upton for about 3 years now. I just really want to apply my skills in research and evaluation to help the town in whatever way I can.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Thanks for volunteering. All right. And is Margaret here? Hello.
I want to be on the Upton Housing Authority. I live in Coach Road. I love everybody. We need to keep moving forward and progressing on the things that we really need to get done around there. And my hope is that I can have some positive influence and input on doing it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for volunteering. Okay, I will.
Stewart. to the Upton Housing Authority, each to serve until the May 2027 town election.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action. Thank you. Congratulations to both of you. Thank you very much.
Do they need to be sworn in?
Not here.
No, but
Yes.
you'll need to go to the town clerk's office at your convenience
Yeah.
and be sworn in.
Yeah.
Not everybody realizes that, so,
Gotcha.
thank you.
Yes. All right, next up, we have Lakes, Ponds and Streams Committee. Gabriel Murray. All right, I will take a motion.
I move that the select board appoint Gabriel Murray to the Lakes, Ponds and Streams Committee for a term ending June 30th, 2027.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action. Thank you, Gabriel. Next up, Historical Commission. Lindsay Barker, are you here? Hello.
Yes, I am. Hello, everyone.
Aye.
Do you want to just say a couple of words and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Lindsay Barker. I'm a resident of Upton. I've been here for about 3 years and I moved from historical Hopedale. I think that history is a very important part of everyone's life, especially in a community such as this. So I'm really hoping that I'll be able to help make some impactful decisions by participating on the commission.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Welcome. We appreciate your volunteerism and support. All right, I will entertain a motion.
I move that the select board appoint Lindsay Barker to the Historic Commission for a term ending June 30th, 2029.
Thank you. And with regret, we will discuss a resignation from the Economic Development Committee, but also a new beginning for our good friend, Mary Kitchen.
Second,
Oh, did we what?
Would you want a motion on the resignation and then we'll?
Oh.
Term ended, that sounds.
Oh,
Sure,
you
do you
did
want-
it just
yeah.
now?
Yeah, the term
Okay.
ended, so
Yeah.
I chose not to re-up it, if the
Okay.
resignation is what you want to call it.
No,
No,
no, no, no, no, no, no, no, no.
it's died its own death.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, my guess, but I'll be nearby.
Yeah, exactly. That's great.
Okay, what I have is kind of similar. I recognize you folks, and thank you for considering my application for a seat on the Capital Budget Committee. My name is Marie Kitchen. I've been a resident in Upton for 5+ years. I'm a registered voter and I vote. I have a degree in business management, finance and marketing, studied construction management for 4 years in the early 2010s. So I'm familiar with reading blueprints, doing takeoffs from those blueprints, construction finance, accounting methods. Well enough to judge the merits of a capital project based on the CBC guidelines. The CBC meets on an ad hoc basis, so I've only looked at the meetings online and reviewed those, plus their guidelines and whatnot. And I am familiar with 2 members on that committee, so not completely new. My basic philosophy is that developing fiscally responsible projects are good for the community. And balancing the needs of the town with fiscal constraints and committee cooperation is elemental because resources are limited. I do look forward to serving. Do you have any questions?
I just have one, if I may, through the chair. Our motion is appointing you to capital budget, but tonight over here in our package, it says to community preservation. Which committee would you like to be on?
It's capital budget.
Okay, thought so. Just wanted to clarify before I.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, you might have ended up with 2 jobs. Thanks, but no thanks. Next time. We'll take the one. We'll take the one. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the select board appoint Marie Kitchen to the capital budget committee for a term ending June 30th, 2029.
second,
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank
Motion
you.
Carries by unanimous action. Thank you very much. I love the enthusiasm. This is so fun. Next up, Board of Registrars. Let's get excited about that. Is Joseph Poirier here? I feel like I need a little drum roll or something. No? Oh, all right. We saw Joseph's application. Do we have any questions? Do we want to appoint Joseph?
No question.
Okay, I'll take a motion.
I move that the select board appoint Joseph Poria to the Board of Registrars for a term ending June 30, 2029.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action. Thank you and welcome, Joseph. All right, next up, I think we've got Select Board discussion and action. So before we start this section, I am going to make a note that we're skipping over 7B. We're going to continue that till our 9:15 meeting. This is the discussion of the senior center lease at Millhouse. So we'll start with the Girl Scout recycling bin proposal with Ashley Brandon.
I'm co-coordinator for the M-Hub service unit for Girl Scouts, Mendon Wholesale Girl Scouts. We're part of the Central and Western Massachusetts Girl Scout Council. We service the girls from Upton, Mendon, and Hopedale. Last school year, we had 196 registered Girl Scouts. I come requesting the opportunity for our communities to support sustainability while generating revenue for our local Girl Scouts by hosting a textile bin on town-owned property in partnership with Bay State Textiles. Bay State Textiles provides and services textile recycling bins at no cost to Upton or the Girl Scouts. Community members can drop off unwanted textiles such as clothing, shoes, bedding, and towels, and the Girl Scouts would earn $120 per ton for collecting items. These items are then repurposed for recycled. Some are reused as wearable clothing, while others are processed into products like industrial wiping cloths or automotive stuffing. This initiative offers a simple, visible way to promote waste reduction and responsible disposal of household textiles. With minimal space and no additional staff required, textile recycling bins can be placed at any high traffic town location. We were thinking of the dirt lot across the street, but would be open to any high traffic location that you think would be a great spot for a bin. Hosting this bin would divert valuable materials from landfills, encourage community engagement and recycling efforts, support sustainability, provide steady revenue stream for the Girl Scouts, and reduce our waste disposal cost by keeping textiles out of our trash. Currently, there's no recycling bin in Upton. The closest we have is the one at Muskego Middle School, which if you live on the Westboro or Grafton side of town and don't have a middle schooler, not a very convenient location. In Massachusetts, textiles are prohibited from being placed in the trash, and Upton does not currently have any program for residents to dispose of textiles, making compliance with that law difficult. I have heard from people that the Green Commission has discussed bins in the past, but to date, there is not one in town. The funds would be used to enrich the lives of our Girl Scouts, supporting the girls from all three towns with encampments, scholarship, supporting community service projects, all the things you can think of that Girl Scouts will do. And we would also give back to the community with funding service projects that the girls do. Thank you for your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have about this.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Kristen, do you have any perspective on this?
So one thing we would need to do, I did confirm with town council, we would just have to have the Girl Scouts enter into a licensing agreement with the town for the use of town-owned property. The one concern I have, and I discussed this a little bit with Allison over email, was illegal dumping, because that has been an issue with a lot of the collection boxes for various means around town. I don't know if that's something that perhaps you could speak to a little bit.
Yes, for the first note of the license, I've discussed with Girl Scout Council. So Council of Central and Western Massachusetts would review the license and they would enter into that with the town. It is a permitted fundraising technique. I know there's girls in Grafton who do it for their town. So Girl Scouts is involved with raising funds that way, and it would find the license. For illegal dumping, Bay State Textiles will come initially once a week to clear the bin, and they will take any item that is dumped, even if it is, it could be a mattress or light or something that is not permitted. They will take it and dispose of it, and try to recycle it if possible. So they encourage communication, and we're also hoping that with more options for more bins, there'll be less dumping. If the bins aren't always full, people might just not dump bags next to it. There will always be people who put the wrong item there. But Bay State Textiles will take care of that and will not be on the town to take that in this way.
And then are these different? Do we know? I haven't like inventoried these bins around town, but I'm pretty sure there's one at the Rose Garden and one at the community center, like at the VFW, and a couple in West Upton Center for sure. Like, are they different?
The
than
one
those
at the
bins?
Grange, the shed at the
The one
Grange.
at Grange had one there. Like, are those different things?
I did ask that question, yeah.
So Bay State Textiles will take pillows, stuffed animals, stained clothing, basically clothing that's not reusable. The other bins are generally there for donations to provide to other people. So they're for good shape clothing. They don't take pillows, they don't take comforters, they don't take the kids' clothes that are ripped. They want to give them to other people. Bay State Textiles will sort through and donate what can be donated.
Yeah.
But as I stated earlier, they do make cleaning cloths and stuffing and actually recycle the textiles that really just have no other purpose.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, is how it's different than the bins that are out around town already. So that's good. Yeah, okay.
If I may, when you said the dirt lot, you talked about the gravel lot across the street.
Yes, it has to be a municipally town owned lot. It cannot be a privately owned lot. So I think we're assuming that's useful, but maybe it's not.
You are right. My question is more, that is not going to be accessible while the Grove Street Bridge is being built. So that puts a major wrench in the works. You know, in the short run, just the short run, you know, yeah, it's going to be used as staging, and the Grove Street is going to be closed right here at the Racine. So nobody will be able to get in and out except construction vehicles, because we're already juggling activities at Milton Racine because you can't get there from here.
Totally makes sense. Exactly. There's another spot. I don't know if we could do, it just really needs to be somewhere where people can drive.
It may be a temporary.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, you know, I don't know the timeline on the Grove Street Bridge. I know it's going to be a bit, but.
Do folks generally support the idea? Are we not comfortable with the idea? Do we want to think about it? Do we need to think about a location? What do you want to?
I'd almost like to think of a location. I am heartened by the fact that they will take anything that's not allowed, because unfortunately, the Board of Health just had, you know, the saran wrap and the feed bags and all of the plastic shells are not recyclable. And we put bins out that were very clearly marked inside the library and inside the town hall. And I can't tell you how much food and waste was put in. We had to stop the program. It was very clearly marked. It was not a bin. It was made of the corrugated, like the signs you see. There was writing all over them, and we find chicken nuggets and all sorts of lovely smelling things. So.
Yeah, we don't want to put it in the dumpster, that's for sure.
No.
And a dumpster that doesn't get cleaned up, right? Like,
Right.
that's not good for anybody, but.
No, I'd like to think about a location. I mean, I don't think you could put out here. You're bearing with all the.
Yeah, is that a you, Dennis, thing to try to figure out what a good spot might be if we were, I mean, are we open to it if we find the right location, or like, I also don't want to like waste the Girl Scouts' time. We're
I
gonna
know.
say no anyway, so.
And I noticed too, has anyone thought about putting it on private property? And the only reason I asked that is I drove down South Street the other day and there's a bin on South Street, which I'm assuming is private property.
Yeah, so Bay State Textiles has told us they will only put them on municipal property, which is why it's at Misco Hill at the school. They only do schools and town property. They don't do private property. And I don't know if she was raising it, but
Are they the same company that does Misco?
yes.
Because I noticed, and it's probably not their fault, but Misco is frequently overflowing.
Yeah, and that's part of what we were thinking is they're full all the time. So if we were able to, clearly there's enough waste to go around.
Create some capacity, yeah.
There's a lot more trash than we have space to put it. And you can't put pillows and comforters and things into a trash bag, nor do you want to because we're paying for it. So if we had one in Upton, it might relieve those bins a little bit too from the overflow bags on the ground there.
I'm not opposed. I'd like to, I mean, we can't do the lot in the short term. I'd like to maybe look into some other, you know, places that perhaps they could be located. Because off the top of my head, I don't know.
I would like to think about locations.
Okay, so it sounds like we want to try to, the next step will be to think about and identify a location and then come back to the board for us to discuss the location and the recommendation, probably from you and Dennis, from the Girl Scouts. And if we can come up with something that's agreeable to everybody, the board will just make a determination.
One thing I just wanted to add to, we would probably need like an emergency contact phone number, just in case, you know, especially if it's near a parking area, someone puts like a couch out there or we can't access the parking lot. So that I think would be an important piece to have. And if you have other suggestions, we can chat about locations and I can run it through with DPW. I didn't really get into the location piece of it, so that's certainly a discussion we can continue to have.
And I think we got over some of our initial, like, oh, I don't think this is a good idea. And so we just want to get some more information.
And then the other question I would have is, can we check with legal to make sure there's no liability on the part of the town?
Yeah.
Just because.
Yeah, I would think we'd want to have them renew whatever contract we would be engaging with.
The
license
license should address that.
Okay.
But I will confirm.
Okay.
Yes. And manager mentioned highway. Hopefully, highway bond property becomes off limits.
Yeah, also.
By
And
November.
the schools. Yeah, we're gonna shut it all down. for a couple of years. Yeah,
No, we can't. do that.
yeah, so they're gonna be, right, we're finding places to put them as it is. Okay. Good point. Okay, so.
I'll reach out.
Thank you very much. Great. Next up, we have a vote to accept a very generous donation from Unibank to the Upton Town Library. There's someone that wants to talk about that. Hey, Matt.
Hello. For those of you who don't know me, Matthew Baxhold, Library Director. So I'm here with another gift acceptance from Unibank. Every year, Unibank, typically almost every year, Unibank makes a generous donation to support the summer reading program. We accepted that gift earlier in the year. This is an additional gift. They approached the library with a very unexpected, unrestricted $2,500 gift. They are doing it to honor the 250th anniversary of the founding of the country. But it is, as I said, unrestricted. They didn't put any limits on what we can use it for. It doesn't necessarily have to be related to, you know, an anniversary celebration. We have some plans. Our children's librarian has wanted to do some sensory kits. This is a box someone can check out. It has 2 or 3 picture books and a child-friendly activity that goes along with them. We haven't been able to fund that from the library budget. So this would be in addition to the collection. And then because sometimes the adult programs get left out a little bit, we're going to allocate half of it to additional adult programming for the upcoming year. So thank you very much to Unibank. We really appreciate their support and being a good community partner. And because it's a cash gift, it needs to be accepted by the Board of Selectmen. Select Board.
What a wonderful story and gift from Unibank. That's awesome. I love that. Very, very good for them. Very grateful. Any questions? Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion.
I move that the select board accept a donation of $2,500 from Unibank for the Upton Town Library with our extreme gratitude.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action. Thanks.
Thank you, and thanks to Unibank.
Next up, we have discussion on electronic signage options for town hall.
Thank you. So I've had a chance to do some research into where we last left off regarding, I always call them electronic signs, but community message board sounds more professional and appropriate. So I'll use community message board, but for folks that don't know what that means, it's one of those scrolling signs that gives messages out to residents and can, you know, send more than one at once, which can be beneficial. I'm seeking guidance from the board regarding previous discussions held, especially those addressing sign design preferences. And so just to give a little bit of background, funding for the message board was not approved at the 2024 fall special town meeting. The article requested just over $47,000 for the sign. This funding request was subsequently placed on the 2025 annual town meeting warrant, but the article was withdrawn. And my understanding is that the previous town manager intended to use ARPA funds for the project. Unfortunately, ARPA funds are now fully expended. They all had to be committed by the end of 2024. So as a result, this request would need to be placed on the fall town meeting warrant should the board want to bring that forward for funding discussion. If this is something the board still wants to pursue, I can research both current cost and design options for the sign. I have a little bit of experience researching this in a very small community. And there were a lot of concerns about colors and flashing and things that might be distracting to drivers. So one of the things I found out through my research was there are a number of options that go beyond that traditional color LED sign. The message boards can be set in granite. They can have grayscale text instead of color, which can be less distracting for folks. So with that information, I turn it over to the board for some guidance on where you'd like to, or if you'd like to move forward with this.
Do we have any guess on how much something that would cost?
So 47,000 was the original ask back in 2024. I would have to get an updated estimate. When I looked at it, that 47 seems on the high end. When I was looking at it about 4 years ago, we were closer to 30. So, and that was for granite set with a grayscale LED. So it may be cheaper, although costs have gone through the roof for everything. So I don't want to speculate before I look into it a little more.
What do you think about the neon?
We're going. I like maybe do yellow.
That's your favorite color.
No. All right,
Well, the construction folks have a whole different atmosphere now, you know, they're a party
I
thing.
know.
You have some past history.
Scottish. Yeah, that's exactly, there's some history here. So for sure, like whatever we put in the center of town has to be like perfect. Like it can't be, it's gotta be old New England, white churches, like look around, you got a brick building, you got white churches, like you gotta fit with the motif that's going on here. That goes without saying, so I'm just saying what everybody's thinking. The one thing I wonder about is the time, because we know that in the next few years, we're gonna be getting a roundabout, there's gonna be all sorts of road construction, there's gonna be all sorts of new lighting that gets installed. It feels like, or I would at least wonder, without having all of that in place, is it the right time? We've needed a new sign for a long time. I've supported the sign, it's fine. I just wonder if we should wait till it's built out before we invest $50,000 into a sign that we, for some reason, we realize the light shines off it and you can't see it.
I would be in favor of the grayscale,
Oh,
and
definitely.
something traditional.
Yeah.
I'd like to just get a price.
Yeah.
Because Kristen's right. I mean, there are some things that if it's $50,000, if the 47 didn't fly, I don't think this is, but it's also in 2026, the fact that somebody has to stand there with the plexiglass on their head and put each letter in hand by hand.
In the snow.
You know, in the snow,
Oh, I
in
know.
the rain.
Get you. I'm not so big.
The residents go, well, I didn't see it on the sign. And I feel like handing them a stack of letters and saying, if you want to help, because it's really not anybody's favorite job.
And if we could have a few less highway signs, no offense to the DPW, highway signs around town all the time, that would be nice too.
Would those be the signs that I refer to affectionately as the blinky signs?
I call them blinky, but they are blinky, and they're got big piece of construction equipment in the middle of our beautiful town. Which is fine because it's serving a purpose, which is communicating to the public, which is very important. But perhaps an alternative would be to get an updated sign in the center of town. So it sounds like.
Let's just get
Go
a
ahead.
price and look
Get a
into
price and
everything.
look at what it would be.
And I think Dennis should be able to know if where the sign is currently located is impacted by that project.
Lights and all that, yeah.
important
Could be
question.
something, I have no
Electrical.
idea, but like the electrical, the glare, I don't know, like, because I know they're gonna be putting in a bunch of lights, and they said they're putting in some bright lights, because it's gonna be a roundabout. Because remember, we had to get the extra tall lights for
Yeah.
the roundabout, not just the regular lights, so.
That's true. And although I think they considered it, I don't think they considered it before they realized they had to put
Exactly.
in the brighter taller lights.
That's right, and again, it may be, Dennis may be like, oh, it doesn't matter, the lights are totally, we're not gonna have any impact, like, that's great. But I definitely was.
Price would help.
Okay. I
Yeah,
can-
price and then whatever the impacts from the construction might be. The other thing is that I don't want an excavator backing into it while they're putting in the rotary.
No, we don't.
No,
That would be our luck.
so, you know,
Just saying.
maybe we can put the bin in front of the signs.
If there's some consensus that black and white would be the right way, I don't know if there's a different price point. That's why I'm asking.
I'm a fan of, I don't think we want fireworks and flashes and colors. I think when we said it before, like a Kindle reader, black and white,
Great,
black,
yeah,
grayscale, nothing flashy, simply words.
The way I think of it is I want what's there. Black and white, easy to read,
Yeah.
only
Electronic.
only electronic
Electronic.
and programmable.
Yeah.
And maybe you can do different size fonts or whatever, but like, that's all like
I know the last time we thought about this, what we said was we want the most readable font.
Yeah.
Because we're not gonna have pictures. We want a very clear, crisp, readable font.
The other thing I just don't know about the technology is, right, it's like my kids get, $9.99 strips of LED lights that have a remote control and have 47 different colors. So if having all the colors is a cheaper option or isn't any more expensive, then fine, it's an option. I don't care if it's there. We can choose to use whatever color we want, which are gonna be black and white while we're sitting here. And then if someone else.
We get mad at you and then we could go.
Yellow, they're like.
Neon. You're never gonna live it down.
Okay,
It's okay.
good.
Yeah, and I can ask about different settings that would fit with the rural town, common center, church, New England. theme,
Yeah.
If you will.
Yeah.
Do you want
Yeah.
to look into the granite posts?
I mean, I like white and a sign as opposed to granite. I just feel like it's warmer and fits more with the aesthetic in the center of town.
And especially with the AZAC and the different
Yeah,
composite
Yeah.
woods that,
Yeah.
hey, I just put all my house trim on it.
but I mean, we have some granite on the front of town hall too, so it's not.
Right.
It wouldn't be.
No.
Unreasonable to look at a granite option too, but that's not my
Maybe I
expertise.
can just get some pictures of what a
Sure.
couple of
What
different
the-
options.
So,
would
yeah,
look
like
like.
a white option, or a white option and a granite option.
Sounds good.
Cool.
We're
Good.
cool.
All right. We're having fun up here.
We are, if anybody else
Yeah,
is.
no, what you guys doing? Okay, let's see, what do we got next? Vote to open the November 10th, oh my goodness, 2026 special town meeting warrant.
There's a typo, and I think this is my continued fault. It's the 12th is the Thursday.
Okay.
So is it November 12th?
Yes, that's what we voted to have it on before.
Okay.
And I keep
That's fine.
thinking,
So
I don't know
let's
what's
just-
wrong with my brain. It keeps
Are
referring
you
to.
still in
the-
your previous town?
I am not.
November 12th.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Those are on Tuesdays, sorry.
Okay.
So it
that's-
is November
that's fine. I
10th,
think
just
we're-
a scrivener's error on the agenda.
Okay.
November 12th, sorry.
I will-
Well, that's okay.
Any discussion or questions about that?
No.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the select board vote to open the warrant for the November 12th, 2026 special town meeting.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action. Thank you.
And my goal is by the next meeting to have a schedule for you that will include budget, fall town meeting, and basically get us all the way through to May. So that'll be it.
Great.
Okay.
Next meeting.
Great, thank you.
Next up, we have a discussion and potential vote on reissuing the Holy Angels Request for Proposals, the RFP, and the EOI, the expression of interest. All right. What do you got for us, Kristen?
Sorry, I have too many documents here. I have to keep moving everything around. So I did some digging into what was done up to this point. So there were 2 RFPs issued. Both were for the 5 parcels, including the 2 that, the total of 5 parcels for 1.5 acres, one of which is privately owned. And when I looked at both of the RFPs, they stated the developer must be willing to acquire all 5 parcels to be considered. Just a little bit of a challenge when you're throwing a private sale in there as well. So I looked back mostly at the one that was issued in 2022, and it's Holy Angels, 0 Milford, which is known as the GAR property. 2 Grove Street, which is the town parking lot, and 0 Grove Street, which is the gravel parking lot, plus the Thompson family property there. So obviously, as you know, we did not receive any responses to either one of those RFPs. The first one was put out in 2020, the second in 2022. And then in 2024, the town issued a expression of interest for the town center development. And when I looked at this proposal, it still talked about the 5 parcels and 1.5 acres, but it did say that respondents may be for all 5 parcels or a subset of the town parcels. I think, you know, the appearance there, though, is still kind of this town center development concept, which is actually what the cover of the expression of interest is. So, you know, kind of looking at all of this and the fact that we did receive a response from 140 Arts to the expression of interest, obviously that is just gauging interest literally, but the next step would be to go back out for RFP should you continue on in that process. I'm guessing either we really like even years because that was 2020, 2022, 2024, now we're in 2026, or you know, it's really kind of fell through the cracks a little bit between the town manager leaving and me coming on board. So I know auction is also a possibility that was previously discussed, but I think seeing as how there was interest in the building from 140 Arts, it may make sense to go back out and do an RFP just for the Holy Angels parcel itself, because that hasn't been done yet. So that would be something for the board to discuss and consider. I do think the challenge with continuing to retain that parcel is insurance, you know, maintenance, repairs that the town doesn't have the funding to do. If you were to go out to RFP, you could also, if you so chose, put a historic preservation restriction on the property. And I think that this does not detract from the special town meeting that is being prepared. This could go potentially on a parallel path along with the town meeting requesting sort of the repair emergency funding for the building. But I think it's important to start thinking or continue or make a decision on the future of that building in terms of whether the town should continue to hold on to that property.
That's great and helpful. Thank you for digging through all of the history and yourself and then reacquainting us with it. It's great, right? I think we all have over the years been pretty committed to wanting to keep the church. So certainly I'm very supportive of a preservation restriction for whatever we do in terms of dispositioning that property, whether it's an auction, an RFP, or whatever other process we go through to sell the building. I would very much be in support of that. I think that's a reflection of what the town has voted on over and over again. So, but short of that, I'm open to whatever the board is.
I have a question. If we were to put out an RFP with a historic preservation restriction, who holds that restriction? Would the town have to maintain any type of liability, ownership, or can we say to a potential RFP person or a potential new owner, you purchase it, but we want you to place the historic preservation on as part of the purchase. Make it a contingency of the purchase.
I have to look at that. My understanding is it would run basically with the land if it's a preservation restriction, but in terms of the timing of when you could put it on or how, I'd have to research that a little bit.
Yeah, like, and I'm not sure, but I think it sits like an easement or something, right? It's like it's in the deed, so it just, it's with the deed to the property.
So for example, I've seen land sold and land has to be used, undeveloped, farmed for 100 years. But that's on the land and the new owner takes care of that. If we're going to sell it or RFP it, I want to make sure that it's not still tied to us in any
Or you think
way.
it's like conservation restrictions, like we hold certain conservation
Right.
restrictions. And
I want
Yeah.
to make sure
I
that.
think this is,
that-
I don't know.
I don't
It's a
know
good
either.
question. I think it's different, but I don't know. Let's find out.
It may very well be similar. I mean, I don't want to speculate too much, but
No.
I know that usually if with a conservation restriction, a third party actually holds the restriction if the town owns the land. So let me do a
I
little
just,
digging on
that was my question, just
How that
the
works.
legalities of,
Yeah.
before we step in something we don't want to
No,
step
we definitely
into.
don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't do us any good to have a restriction that either is not enforceable or somehow ends up not being honored.
So is the question, would it, like the new property owner would put the preservation restriction or would it be a condition of the sale or?
Either one.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that if our goal is to release it from town ownership, that it doesn't remain in town ownership because of a preservation restriction in any way, shape or form. If we're gonna release it, I don't want the liability on the town in the future.
So the question is, if we want to sell it, if we want to transfer ownership of it with a preservation restriction, what are the legal mechanics of that preservation restriction?
Good, bad, or
How
indifferent.
does it get recorded and how does it get enforced?
What's the pros and cons between the auction and the RFP?
So we're still going out to RFP in a sense. Well, actually, we are going out to RFP for one or the other. We're either going out to RFP for an auctioneer or we're going out to an RFP for the property itself. So there's a bit of an extra step. Not that there are many firms that do this, and I could probably, I'm sure, beg, borrow, and steal one from another town that's done it. But that would be the first step, would be to procure an auctioneer. And then they would do the marketing, advertising, all of the things that normally happen with a real estate sale. It's just happens to be on the municipal side. As we talked about last time, you could make decisions on the historic preservation restriction and or a minimum. But the municipal auctioneer I spoke with said pretty much if you do one or both of those, you will scare away all developers. But if that's not the direction you want to head in anyways, then that's a moot point.
And heading in that direction with the RFP, if you're gonna put a restriction.
You very well may be. I think developers, the other issue is, if you do sell it to a developer, there's not an immediate end use. There's not an immediate way for them to make their money back, right? Because there has to be some work done to the building before it could be leased or repurposed. So that's part of the issue, whether it has a preservation restriction on it or not. The fear, obviously, if you don't do that and you sell it at auction, it goes to the low bidder, and without a preservation restriction, it could be torn down. So there's not a mechanism to keep that unless you do that preservation restriction. Whereas an RFP is more qualitative, it's not price-based per se. In an auction, it's the lowest bidder gets the property. With an RFP, you could say, okay, well, this person wants to come down and tear the building down, so you don't want to do that.
And
But could I ask Mike Antonellis through the chair?
please,
If they tore it down, could they replace it? Under current zoning?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I believe that the setbacks would likely be an issue. And at this point, it'd be, as far as use, uses are tied to structures are tied to uses. Building it back, what would the use be, and would the use be allowed as well?
Right.
So, because it's gone unused our local bylaw says you lose any sort of grandfather rights after 2 years for uses, so. Yeah, no, any demolishing it and rebuilding would definitely require approvals of some kind, likely the zoning board.
You talk about demolition delay, I imagine as well, which
Yes.
is here.
Mhm.
And the fact that
We kicked them.
you're on a 1/4 acre size parcel, which factors into the zoning.
Plus the water. You know, you have to be so far from the water. That is the town's aquifer.
One difference too, I think I see between like I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, right? You're talking about pros and cons of RFP versus auction. I feel like with the RFP, we would have more control over the sort of outcome and the disposition of what happens versus the auction, you're kind of just rolling the dice and whoever's the highest bidder is the highest bidder, and it doesn't matter who it is, we have no say, we have no vote. And I mean, it's okay if we put a preservation restriction on it, then I guess that's our primary objective, it's fine. But that makes me a little more nervous than an RFP process where we can, like you said, it's a little more qualitative. You have a little more time to sort of go through and evaluate and have conversations with what people are thinking and trying to do, but it's just.
I think before I made a decision, I need to know the legalities that I asked about the restriction. Is it enforceable? How would it be worded? Who would hold it?
Yeah.
You know, can't make a decision without all the info, I don't think.
Yeah, I think that's good to get, for sure.
And then then that would weigh into how we move forward. Either RFP or auction, because we don't really know the answers.
The other downside, I haven't done a municipal auction in a long time, but I believe there are fees when you do it through an auction that the buyer pays. Have you done
I
this
think,
before?
yeah, I think you're right.
We're not only just hiring the auctioneer on our end and having to find a funding source for that, but there are fees associated with the sale that get passed on to the seller where if
The
we were
seller or the
handling-
buyer?
The buyer, I'm sorry, I meant the buyer. If we were handling, yeah, so that's, thank you, sorry.
I'm watching the pennies.
We're not trying to spend money here.
No. So you save on the front end with hiring the auctioneer, you save potentially the buyer on the back end of having to pay out those fees. So that was one advantage there, but I certainly understand the concern about how would the preservation restriction work. So I can gather some more information and bring it back for you.
Very good.
Good.
Any other questions that we want
Nope.
Kristen to check out? All right, we're getting closer here. Next up is a discussion of the vote to move these dates right, 9/1/2026 meeting, select board meeting to the 9/3 2026 meeting so that we could have it before the special town meeting. Thought we did that last time, but.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we can do
Do
it
it
again.
again.
So set the meeting for 9/3, but you're supposed to meet on September 1st. That's a regular Tuesday meeting night, but rather than meet twice that week, if you'd like to meet beforehand at 4 or 4:30, if any items should come up, usually you post it before the town meeting anyways. But if there were like a last minute item you had to take up, you could do that over at NITMA.
I'm fine. I mean, that's what we usually do anyhow.
Yeah, I'm a little, usually, we definitely usually post before the special town meeting, but like, it's not a forum where it's conducive to having, if people want to get involved or something, it would have to be a very light agenda.
Yeah,
I would say.
I would keep the agenda to be anything that is related to the town meeting, which in this case, you have a citizen's petition, so there shouldn't be anything specific that would come up. It does give you the option though, say that all of a sudden you need a signature for something.
No, I
you know,
definitely,
like a
I
letter.
definitely want to like close for just before the meeting. The question is, do we cancel the 9/1 meeting
Can we decide?
or do we just?
We have another meeting.
Nine-
No, that's it, no.
That's
9/1
Yeah.
is 9/15
Yeah. I mean, we could do an off cycle.
in September.
And
Right.
we're in November and we're back on stage again.
I mean, there is the possibility of doing, I don't know if that would work for you, but if you did the following Tuesday, but then you'd probably have to shift the 15th out, and we got into that in March, and then everything was mixed up in April, so I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean, 9/1 is the first Tuesday of the month. And
We
usually
could
do
keep, we
first
could
and third.
keep that. We could plan on like a 15, 30 minute before the special town meeting.
Right.
Keep the first, and then if we don't have any agenda items, cancel it.
Cancel.
Okay.
I think that makes sense. That way something
Yeah,
more
I want,
important
I want
or
to have
extensive
space for an actual agenda, that
Yeah.
we wouldn't do if we just automatically cancel the 9/1 meeting. So let's hold some space for that. There's a lot going on in town, obviously, all the stuff you opened up at the beginning, right? So maybe keep the 9/1 slot. We'll have it scheduled the 9/3 meeting for just before the meeting. We can do that post that for, well, I guess the meeting's at 5, so we'll post that for 4:30,
On before 30.
right?
I would,
somewhere there anyhow.
There anyway.
I would also just let, you have allowed me kindly to take a vacation next week. So most of the items we discussed tonight, I probably wouldn't have prepared for the 1st of September. It'll likely be more like the 15th.
You said you could have a vacation.
You did. You let me.
You had a weak moment, Brett.
Yeah.
So-
Those neon
You
lights.
go.
It seems so far away just those few months ago.
We're good.
Okay.
So we'll schedule the day. We can make the decision later about the 9/1. We'll schedule the 9/3. We're
I
good.
just didn't want to set any
good.
expectations for the 1st. So
I just know everybody's very busy, so I want to be able to,
Absolutely.
we don't want to be a blocker for anybody.
No.
Yeah, okay. Super. We nailed that. Next up, we got minutes.
No,
Now we have
No,
discussion.
hold on.
the lease at Millhouse. Remember, we skipped it?
Yeah, I said we continue that to the 15th of September.
Oh, I
Sorry,
guess I wasn't listening.
sorry, that was my bad.
Pay
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, see now, there was Laura not paying attention.
We're good.
Just like you let her take a vacation.
Yeah. All right, we're getting there. Thank you, folks. All right, so yes, we've got 4 minutes here.
In my usual typical fashion, there was just literally one typo in the minutes. Chris Karen's name was spelled wrong. It was the word Karen, Karen. So other than Chris's name being spelled wrong, I didn't have any problems with the minutes. No.
Fantastic.
Which minute are those?
Uh,
So I can.
July 14th, line 36.
Thank you very much.
I think that much.
I'm pretty good. I wasn't the only one, huh?
Make a motion.
Yeah,
I move that the select board approve the meeting minutes of May 19th, 2026, July 14th, 2026 with its correction, July 21st, 2026, and August 4th, 2026, both regular and executive session as submitted.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action. And next up, executive session. We are spot on time. I love it.
Spot on.
That's not-
Do
Look at you are 3 minutes early.
I
You
know.
are cooking with gas.
we have the little thing we're supposed to read to go into executive session for this?
So the motion would be just to go into executive session and then you just read it.
Okay, great.
So you can just literally follow the ones on the,
Yep, so we're going to break into executive session right now to review a resident's request for financial assistance under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A7, and Mass General Law, Chapter 4, Section 726C, and also to discuss litigation strategy related to enforcement of issues at 79 Main Street under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3. And the chair declares that discussing this matter in open session could have a detrimental effect on the town's litigating position. The board will not return to open session following executive session.
Second.
All right,
Already, now I.
Brett Simus, aye. Motion carries.